morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. It is the 1st of September, and we have the dark moon coming up either tomorrow, the 2nd, or the 3rd, depending on where you live. Excuse me. And this is the dark moon in Virgo, and it falls at 11 degrees. And the Virgo moon, the Virgo's energy is all about cleaning up, reorganizing, getting things in order, taking care of your health. And because this one is at 11 degrees, there is that numerological influence of spirituality, being that 11 is the mastery number of spirituality. So this dark moon kind of highlights that idea of getting your spiritual practice into order, your health into order, and really taking care of yourself and making sure that you get rid of those bad habits and that you make a good plan and set goals as we move into this harvest energy. Like, what are you going to do with all of the things that you are harvesting? What is the next step? Because remember, we're always repeating the cycle, but the cycle is not a circle, it's more of a spiral, and so it just continues to go forward through that energy. And so let's look at the chart real quick. And here, I'm sorry, I was using it as a teaching model at our tea party. So if you are in the Greeley area and you want to come down and talk about all of this in person and ask questions, you are more than welcome to come and join us. It does really turn into more of like a teaching session where we talk about what all of the things in astrology mean. But here is the chart, and as you can see, we have the sun and the moon, and then also Vesta is conjunct with the sun and moon right now here, and we have quite a few kind of clumpings with what's going on astrologically. So first, our conjunctions that we have going on right now, like I said, are the sun, moon, and Vesta. They are all in Virgo. Vesta also adds more of a devotional energy, reinforcing that spiritual aspect of this moon and kind of focusing our health and healing on our spiritual growth and our spiritual practice. We always have to remember that there are many aspects of ourselves. So we have, our emotional selves, our physical selves, our spiritual selves, our, how we interact with our community, our environment. We have all of these different aspects of self. And this moon really encourages you to focus on that spiritual aspect of self and really encourages you to set forth with not a new spiritual practice, but set forth more focused on that spiritual practice. What are you devoted to? We've asked this before a couple full moons ago, just about what are your devotions, what are you committed to, what are you really focused on, and how your spirituality is influencing your life is really coming up right now, because we are being asked if we are allowing our spiritual cups to fill, and what are we filling them with, and are you really devoted to that, and is that really what you want to be committed to? Is this the path that you're on? And kind of cleaning that path up and looking forward on what I need to do next. We also have Chiron and Eris are still conjunct, and this conjunction has been lasting for a while now. We've talked about it a lot, but it is really encouraging you to step out of that superficial self, to step away from being a victim, and really step forward in taking accountability and healing. Truly healing, not just like, oh, I feel better now and I'm not going to talk about that anymore and I'm going to step forward, but really healing those traumas. Because of Chiron's strong emphasis on community and, not just healing for yourself, but healing for everyone, this is also emphasizing generational trauma and healing from that. And it's really time to stop judging our past and our family's past and our community's past and all of these pasts based off of what we feel is right now, and accepting that that's what happened. These are the lessons that we've learned from it, and now it's time to step forward and to really heal and to allow ourselves to move forward. Again, emphasizing that healing energy, that stepping forward. We have Uranus and Sedna that are still conjunct, and together they are calling for abrupt change. And you see that come up again and again as we'll talk about Uranus more. Well, we'll talk about this conjunction more, but we'll talk about how it is involved with other planets, but they're all still calling for this big change, big transformation, awakenings, seeing truths and realities, even dark truths, even things that we don't want to admit to ourselves. It's really time to take off all of those blinders. It's time to really see reality, see truth, see what it is that we need to do, and then make that transformation, major transformation. They are also on the cusp, so Uranus is moving between Taurus and Gemini, and it is in retrograde right now. So it's really calling to you, like, are you making the transformations that you need to make? Are you seeing the changes that you need to make? And calling you to allow those transformations to happen. And Sedna's right there reminding you that you don't have a choice. This isn't something that you can just turn away from and put your head in the sand and say, hey, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just box it up and put it away like all the times I've done before, and then just pretend it's not there and everything will be fine. It's not that kind of transformation. It's not that kind of truths that are being revealed. These are things that you can't come back from. These are things that you can't look away from. And it is just really kind of calling you out. And it is time to make those transformations. We also have Lilith, Venus, the South Node, and Juno all conjunct. Now, I don't normally talk about the dark moon Lilith because it is a theoretical place in the sky. So the moon's orbit of the Earth is an oval, and that oval is slightly offset to one side. So the dark moon Lilith, this is really hard to say without pictures, okay? So I'm going to try. All right. So the moon's orbit is an oval. That oval is offset from Earth so that it is not, like the Earth's not in the middle of that oval. And oh, look here, we'll use this. See, we'll pretend that this is the moon's orbit, and here is the Earth. So Earth is not in the center of that orbit. It's kind of offset to one side. And as we rotate and the Earth rotates in the moon's orbit, it kind of goes like that, okay? And it goes around. Now the dark moon Lilith, so this is the point at which the moon is furthest away from Earth. Dark moon Lilith is a point over here that the moon actually never travels to. It's just the opposite point of the moon at apogee, if the moon orbited it in a circle. That's really complicated, okay? So the dark moon Lilith is just a place in the sky, as also the North and the South Node are places in the sky that are not, it's not like a star, it's not a thing, it's not something we can say, hey, that's that. It is a mathematical measured point when the moon goes across the horizon of, no, not the horizon, it's all really complicated. So these are mathematical places that are calculated in the sky that mark a point, and the dark moon Lilith is this primordial darkness that is the opposite of that life-giving feminine energy. And the dark moon Lilith, if you read the Old Testament, Lilith is the first woman to have been created with Adam. She chose not to lie under Adam, but was of equal. And then in the Hebrew Bible, she rebels against Adam. She leaves the Garden of Eden and she eats babies. Or she turns your babies into demons. There's different takes on it. But she is a baby-consuming primordial energy. And she kind of gets a bad rep. Now, at the same time, that imagery has been glamorized and turned into this very pure feminist energy. this primordial woman who is strong in her lustful, consuming ways, I guess. I don't know. It's a really interesting energy to kind of research with. It's an interesting energy to think about. I kind of take it back more to its roots as just that primordial feminine energy. I think that in our societies, we take that and we create with it what we mirror that energy with our societal beliefs. So in ancient times, during the rise of Christianity and the writings of the Hebrew Bible and all of those things, that primordial feminine energy was seen as destructive. If a woman is not at home taking care of her babies, and her babies are dying. And so that's kind of that energy. Now in our more modern society, we have taken that into that like boss bitch behavior and kind of ran with that. And so you see a lot of people who are like, the Lilith energy is amazing. Now, the Lilith energy is important to our creation. It is important to reality. The primordial energy is something that is a part of all of us. Primordial energy is something that reaches, into the deep, dark caverns of our brain from before we evolved into the conscious beings that we are. And I'm sorry, my brain just went to this crazy place. So talking about this primordial energy. So this is this animalistic primordial energy. This is that lioness in the wild who her purpose is to hunt and to kill and to bring home the food and to procreate. And this is the kind of energy that Black Moon Lilith represents. It is that primordial energy. Now, this is something that each of our souls travels through in its many paths along this earth. We all become one with that energy. We all connect with that. We also connect with primordial masculine energy, in that, the great protector, the warrior, all of those things. This isn't, there are both sides of the coin, but specifically Lilith is that primordial dark energy. Like I said, we take this primal feminine energy and we reflect it with what our society views of that are. That's a whole nother video that we could totally get into about, we've already tangented enough here. So I don't normally bring up Lilith, and we don't normally talk about her as a reference point in astrology because of all of those things that I was just saying, and that this is an energy that we reflect by society, and I don't think that I don't feel that our definitions, our societally based definitions of primal energy, accurately reflect the energy itself. And there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of things that go in with it. And so if we were to get into talking about that, it becomes a much greater thing than just talking about Lilith. And as you can see, probably ranted on for this for many more 2 minutes than I should have. So we don't normally talk about Lilith. However, at this moment, Lilith, the South Node, and Venus are all conjunct. And this very strong feminine energy is well, we have to talk about it, and it's really I feel like it's really influencing what the rest of the chart. We're talking about transformations, we're talking about change, we're talking about going to the darkest places of our psyche and seeing that reality and accepting that, and then moving forward. What better energy to support us in that transition than Lilith and Venus and the South Node? So the South Node is at opposition to the North Node. We talk a lot about the North Node because it's been conjunct with Chiron and Eris, and it is all about these new beginnings. It's in Aries, so it's in its new beginning place. It is this like fresh start, this awakening. The South Node, on the other hand, is the end. It is destruction. It is finalities. It is the end that has to happen in order for the beginning to begin again. And again, our modern societal definitions of the end have been very colored by Christianity, and that being a definitive end, a hard stop. This is it. You can't come back from this. And that's not true in the universe. The universe is all about recreating. The laws of science, of energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed, is very, very much true in the laws of the universe and spiritual energy and all of that. So as we get to the end, it is only time for a new beginning. And I really see this conjunction of the South Node and Lilith and Venus as a big reminder, as a Venus comes in and softens that blow of Lilith and the South Node and this very dark end. It is the end. It is the end of this era, and it is time for a new one. If you watch other astrologers, a lot of people are talking about spiritual evolution, an evolution of our collective conscience, I just hear that song in the back of my head, the Age of Aquarius song, and it just is, it's that time to wash away the old, let in something new, and move forward. So with Lilith and the South Node together, it brings in a destructive yet necessary end so that we can make room for this new life, so that we can make space for this new beginning. We have been very much conditioned to believe that through destruction, there is only more destruction. We have to be able to step forward in the cycle. We keep coming to this point where we're fighting the same battles over and over again. We're doing this with ourselves. We're doing this in our communities. We're doing this globally. Like we talk about going into World War III, and it's the same wars that we've been having over and over and over and over and over again, because we are not allowing that devastation to end and then stepping forward into something else. We are literally just standing in that pile of poo and allowing it to fester. And even in the Hebrew mythology of Lilith, and that she was like, I'm leaving this space so that I can go on to do something different. She left the Garden of Eden and went out into the world. And it's time to make that transition. We have to step out of this closed space, believing that we have to live in this rubble and we just have to take it how it is and we just have to suffer through and all of that. It is time to step out of that, and it is time to allow this reality to end and to step into a new reality. And we don't have to die. We don't have to do something crazy. We don't have to do all of that. All we have to do is stop and look around and say, wow, I'm going to take accountability for my actions. I'm not going to blame others. I'm going to be in control of myself and my power, and I am going to use my power to react to the situation in a way that I want to react, regardless of what everybody else around me is saying or doing or pretending or whatever it may be. I'm going to step forward and I'm going to be true to that true self. And that is that primal energy that we need to step into, that courage that allows you to be you and be that better person. We were talking about this at the tea party, but it is that golden rule of treat people the way that you want to be treated. It's the golden rule for a reason. This is a universal value that we all have, and no one wants to be treated like a jerk. No one wants to be treated poorly. We all want to be treated well, and so if we went out and treated everybody well and we all were kind and courteous to everybody else, then that is the energy that you would get back, and we would have this beautiful flow of energy, and we can make that change. We just have to step into that role. And with this conjunction, it really is saying let's step into that role. And Venus comes in to soften that, bringing in this like pure, unconditional love. Venus also is a reminder that the superficial love, however fun that might be, is not enough. There is a deep, unconditional, bountiful love flowing forth that we can all tap into, and that's the primal energy we need to step into. And we see, here's that colorful cultural coloring of that word. When we talk about primal energy, we have been taught to believe that primal energy is just lust and greed and consuming and procreating and taking. But that's not what primal energy is. Primal energy is about surviving. Primal energy is about doing what is needed to do in order for you to be successful in life. And yes, that includes sometimes having to eat something or to consume things, but it also involves giving life. Primal energy is the place in which we create life. It is where the first sparks of life come from. It is where those great ideas come from. It is that dark place that everything flows forth from. It is where Humea pulled forth the volcanic islands and created the abundance of life. It is a beautiful, amazing, powerful place that we can all tap into. And in that same place, it is love. It is not hate or greed or anger or any of these dark energies. That primal energy is love, and it is success. It is this bountiful creation of energy that allows you to create whatever you want, even if you feel like you have nothing. That's what that primal energy is. And so I guess that's why I have that problem with everybody saying that Lilith is this or that or whatever, because Lilith is this beautiful, bountiful warrior, mother, lover, all of these things without the confines of our societal norms. And it's that energy that we need to tap into, and we need to step forward and create this new beginning. So it's also with Juno, and Juno is that committed mother, the committed wife, commitment, the devotion to your family, to your community, to your people, to you. And altogether, this feminine energy is like the albeit most powerful mother and grandmother that's just coming forward and telling you it is time to shed what you think people want from you. It is time to shed what you think you need to be to appease culture, society, the world. And it is time to really step into you and step forward as your true self. And this isn't just for women, this is for men, this is for all people. This is something we all need to step into and we all need to step forward with and make those big transformational things happen. Let yourself heal, let yourself move forward and feel success in knowing that you can be the best person that you are, and that's who you need to bring to the table, and that's it. And stop trying to be something for somebody else. Stop trying to do something for this family or community or whatever. We all have to just be real. We have to be true and step forward. So we have a lot of planets in retrograde right now. We have Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Eris, and Uranus that are all going retrograde. Uranus is actually stationary. I think it was yesterday it went stationary, and then it'll be full retrograde by tomorrow. So this is a really eruptive energy. Your big changes, big things happening. And then with all of them being in retrograde, we are being asked if we are learning those lessons. So Pluto is asking you, are you actually taking control of your power? Are you doing the right thing because it's right by you and your community and working from that grassroots in to the top? Or are you still continuing to give your power to some top-down authority that's telling you what to do? Saturn in retrograde is asking you, are you putting out the energy that you want to be receiving back? Is your community giving you what you need in order for you to support your community? Neptune is asking you if you're seeing reality for what it really is, or are you continuing to keep your blinders on and pretend like nothing is happening? Please take your blinders off. Start seeing reality. I know that it's hard. I know that it's tough. I know that it sucks to see things that you don't want to see or that you don't want to admit. But Neptune in retrograde is like, here it is. This is the fog that you have put yourself in. Now, how are you going to get out of it? And how are you going to see things from this higher perspective? How are you going to see reality for what it is? How are you going to see these truths? It's asking you, how can you keep looking the other way when you know that these people are lying to you? Or you know that this reality isn't real, or whatever it may be. Chiron and Eris, both retrograde, still conjunct, and we kind of talked about this with that healing, but they're asking you, are you accepting your fate? Are you accepting your reality? And are you healing? Are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you stepping forward for the right reasons? Are you still sitting in your superficial self thinking, oh, what is everybody going to think of me if I do this? Or what should everybody think of me? Or this is what people think of me, so then that's what I'm going to portray. Just because someone comes and tells you, oh, this is who you look like and this is what you are, so this must be what you are. And that doesn't have to be the truth. It doesn't have to be the reality that you live in, because somebody else came and told you that that's what it is. Even if 10 people came and told you that that's what you should be, if that's not who you feel on the inside you are, then that's not who you are. You don't have to listen to them. You can just be yourself. You can just be true to yourself. You don't have to create some falsehood, this mask that you put on to pretend to be something that you're not, so that you can appease the people around you and try to be this thing and fulfill this role that other people want from you. Chiron and Eris are saying stop doing that. And if you're doing that, they're calling it out. They're saying, hey, this is the problem, and you need to let go of that, and you need to just be true to yourself. You need to heal. You need to step forward and be righteous in that stepping forward, and just be strong enough to say, you know what? You might think I'm this person, but that's not who I am. This is actually who I am. And sometimes that's really hard. And there will be people in your life who aren't ready to hear that. There will be people who don't want to step forward with you, and that's okay. It's time to let them go. Maybe they're part of the problem and not the solution. We have to make those transformations. We have to make these changes, and we have to start moving forward with those. I have a lot of examples that just keep coming into my brain. I cannot say them all out loud, or we'll be here all day. Then we already talked about Uranus retrograde and that just questioning if you're making those changes. I mean, altogether, they're calling for us to find our own sovereignty, to really make major but humble change. You know, make the changes that you need to make in order to be the person that you truly are, and to step forward doing the right thing. And I just keep coming back to that, treating people the way you want to be treated, the golden rule, being kind and courteous. We all want to be treated with kindness, so why not treat everyone else with kindness? Just saying nice things to people can make the world of difference, and it would just make the world a different place to be in, that's for sure. Especially now with social media, and we have all of these keyboard warriors who type and say things that they would never say to your face, but they are very willing to type it out onto the computer, or they're very willing to say it in their phone and post it onto TikTok or wherever, but they don't want to say that to your face. They wouldn't say those words to another person's face. That's why they go out to their car and they make the video away from the people who just offended them, or that they feel like they need to tell what to do, because they wouldn't say that to their face, because they know deep down inside what they're saying is not, it shouldn't be said, or that comes from a place of hurt or of mistrust, or wherever it's coming from. So we've really gotten in, I'd say in the last 20 years, into this place of typing out whatever it is we think we should say, and being mean and being callous, and oh, it's okay to say mean things. It's okay to be, this person that acts like they don't give a crap about what everybody else around them is saying or doing, we need to let go of all of that. We need to really step back into this reality of, like, if you wouldn't want someone to say it to you, why would you say it to somebody else? And if you're really thinking something mean and hateful and spiteful like that of another person, that you need to step back and you need to reflect on why you feel that way. Why are you so consumed with this hatred or this anger, this disgust, this whatever, that you feel the need to go out and spew that to the rest of the world? Those are the things that you need to heal from. That is the energy that all of these retrogrades and all of these conjunctions and all of this stuff is calling out, is really telling you it is time to make those changes. It's time to heal yourself so that you can go out and be a better person, and we can make this world a better place. All right, so now we'll talk about some of the interactions that are happening right now. We have the Sun's conjunction at opposition to Saturn, which, and Saturn is in Pisces also. So we have, and Virgo. So we have a lot of health here going on. We have a lot of water, emotional healing, physical healing, spiritual healing, and really stepping forward. And then we're really being asked to balance, like, our dreams and our interactions with the community with healing and doing the right thing by ourselves. And are we finding that balance and stepping forward? I feel like a broken record. I'm about to say the same thing over and over again, but that's one of the reasons that I have found personally that astrology is these patterns that show all of it just reinforces the truth behind astrology, and that it's not necessarily a pseudoscience, and that there is this, like, thing that we can really see, because all of the things we're going to talk about today are all focused on that same idea of doing the right thing, making major changes, and stepping forward into this new self. We have Neptune at opposition to Venus, which is asking you if you are really seeing that source of true love. Are you allowing your heart to guide you? Or are you blinded by some false reality that someone has put onto you, or you've put onto yourself as a coping mechanism, or whatever it may be? But are you really seeing this from your heart? Is your heart guiding you? I heard I was watching an old movie the other day from the 80s, and he says, I don't know who I am. He says, your mind might not know who you are, but your heart knows who you are. And in this moment, and your heart knows who you are. And this Neptune-Venus opposition calls to that, and is saying, are you being true to your heart? Are you listening to your heart? Or are you being blinded by some crazy thought that you're having in your mind? We have Pluto trine with Venus, which, again, Venus is bringing in this softening touch. Pluto is retrograde. It's going back. It's at the 29th degree of Capricorn. So it is a hard, are you learning these lessons? Are you taking authority over your own power, or are you continuing to give your power to other people, to other authorities, to something else? What truth is leading you? And Venus just comes in and reminds you to follow your heart, to really listen to your heart and see that truth. And no matter how harsh it is, but this is coming from a place of love. Take your power back, lead with your heart, and step forward into this new self. We have still Saturn square to Jupiter. And again, this is really asking you, are you doing all of the things that you were being asked to do or told to do, or did you learn the lessons that you were needing to learn when Saturn and Jupiter were conjunct? Are you continuing to reinforce this old structure of power, or are you allowing this new power, this new source of internal power, to expand forward and do the right thing? And is your expanding energy helping or impeding our social healing? Are you continuing to let the past eat away at the future? Or are you so focused on the future that you're not healing from the past? This is that moment where, like, we need to be in this present moment, and we need to look around, and we need to be real with ourselves, and we need to know, am I using my power effectively? Is my expanding energy and my major change and the things that I'm doing, are they being done right? And are we being, are we doing right by our community, and is our community doing right by us? And this kind of interaction back and forth of that exchange of energy. And then we have Uranus square to Mercury, which really calls you to think outside the box and asks you, are you still stuck in the same thought pattern? Are you still continuing to think, say, and do something that you shouldn't be doing? Are you continuing to say one thing and do another and think something else? And are you not being true to that thought, words, actions? We've talked a lot about that. That's a very important value to me. I think that the more people get in line with that thoughts, words, actions thing, just like with the kindness thing, we would have a better world. We would be a better place. Like, you shouldn't have to read through the lines and try to figure out what someone is trying to manipulate you into doing because their thoughts, words, and actions don't align. We should be able to be honest with each other, with ourselves, and just, say what we mean, do what we say, and that whole cycle of thinking, and with Uranus being square to Mercury, it is really asking you, are you seeing this? And, these are the changes that you need to make. Are you allowing these changes to happen? Are you really cementing them by have you cleaned up your thoughts, your thought patterns, your, what am I doing with negative self-talk needs to go away. We need to really focus on, your thoughts. How your consciousness creates your reality, and we collectively, our consciousnesses create the reality we live in. And is this really what we're thinking we want to live in? And most people are going to say no right now. They're like, no, I don't want to be on the constant state of war. I don't want to feel like my power is going to go out because we don't have enough electricity. I don't want to live in a world where I cannot walk through the park without being harassed. Like, there are things we don't want. We want to live in a safe, sound, a beautiful place. And that's something we can create. If we think it, we say it, and we do it. And so that's Mercury is like our Mercury square to Uranus is really like, hey, are you making these changes? Because you are the one that has that power. We have 2 minor trines right now, the same one that's been going on for quite some time with Pluto sextile and Uranus. We've talked about this a lot. This is really that pioneering energy of looking forward, seeing the world through new light, seeing the world as though you're seeing it for the first time so that you can step forward and really make these changes. It's like looking past the destruction and the devastation we're feeling and like, on the horizon, I see this amazing thing, and I'm going to go for that. We also have Neptune sextile to Pluto, sextile to Pales, which is trine to Neptune. So we have another minor trine there. And bringing Pales into this really highlights your drive and determination. And again, is asking you, like, what are you determined to do? Are you honoring your talents, and are you honoring your skills and your passions and your desires and stepping forward and actually doing them? Are you seeing your talents and following your heart and your passions? It's really calling for that. And so it is just, Pele brings in this drive to really make that change. And so it's like a reinforcement of that other trine. We also have with Neptune sextile to Uranus, and they are both still quincunx to Haumea, so we still have that finger of fate. And like I said before, and I'm going to keep saying this probably for the next 2 years, but it is just going to keep going because we are in this big state of transformation. Major changes. And even you might not feel it right this second, or you might have already felt it, or it might be coming in the future, wherever it may happen, but we are at a place where we need to be able to see the destruction that we're in, and that we need to make something new. We need to make this big change. And then the last thing that we have is a T square with Neptune square Mars square to Venus. And Mars seeks to move forward while Neptune kind of clouds the path. But Venus comes in and says if we follow our heart, we can move forward. It will lift that fog. It will help us move forward. But Mars square to Venus is really asking you, are you, as you step forward on your warrior path of change to really conquer and move, be strong, there's that primal masculine energy that we do need. Little side tangent, my daughter says to me, well, Aries energy is always bad. She's watching Wonder Woman. And I said, no, in Wonder Woman, they change the story and they make Aries to be evil. But Aries is not necessarily an evil god. Aries is a god who embodies the power of the warrior. And however, sometimes that energy might get carried away. Really, the true nature of that energy is to stand up and fight for what is right. To stand up and do the right thing. To lead his men into battle in order to be successful for the right reasons. We, for the last several hundred years, have been in this cycle of fighting to conquer as if we don't have enough resources to survive. If we worked collectively, globally, in a more productive way, we have more than enough resources to survive for many, 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 many generations. The problem is that we spend so many of our resources fighting over who can take control of these resources so that they don't have to share with their neighbors is the problem. And we need to step forward collectively, we need to step forward individually, and we need to stop believing that there aren't enough resources for us all to survive. When we were small tribes, when we were just a small number of collective people, there were 12 of you that were trying to help everybody survive. It was hard to survive. We didn't have the resources and the technologies. Our ancestors looked down upon us who have not, the ones who hang out wherever they hang out, and they look down on us and they are like, these people have it so easy, this is ridiculous. Our ancestors made it easier for us to get to this point so that we can now evolve spiritually, we can evolve as a human species, and we can begin to move forward and stop bickering like small children who want a piece of candy, and step forward, sharing the candy. Like, hey, there are 2 pieces of candy. We could each have a piece of candy. If we all used our resources more effectively, if we all did the right thing, we would have more than enough of everything on this planet, and we wouldn't be destroying our planet trying to get it. This is the change that is being called upon us. This is the big changes that need to be made. And they do start with you on an individual level. And Haumea is telling you that as this world is destroyed and we feel like we have nothing left, this is when we see something better, Neptune. Uranus provides us with that grand change, and we really step into that and we make this change happen. The only way it's going to happen is if we individually start making that change, and we start calling out that change from our neighbors, and we start encouraging our friends and our family and everyone to make those changes. And when someone says something like, well, we don't have enough resources, so we should go take their resources. No, we should work together with those people. We have something that their people need, their people have something that we need, and we can all work together, and we can build a beautiful community that's global, and where we are all amazing and all working together and all, bringing forth this amazing thing. And we can stop letting dictators and leaders and greed-mongering, fear-mongering political powers tell us that we need to be bickering back and forth amongst each other about who has enough resources. Because I'm sorry, there are plenty of resources for everyone, and if you work for it and you try and you stand up and you do it, then you can do it. And I know that there are 100 people out there who are going to say, well, you this and blah, 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 that. Nope. The reality is that you can be anything. You can come from anywhere, and you can step up and you can do it, and you can make those changes. It's you that makes that choice. It's you that takes control of your power and says, I'm going to achieve this thing. I came from a very drug-heavy environment. My parents are addicts. My mom has passed away because of her addiction. Like, And if I allowed my reality as a child to dictate who I became, I would be a meth and heroin addict right now, probably selling myself out on the streets, hustling for something, and doing bad things to try to get quick money to do what I needed to do to survive, because that's the environment that I grew up in. That's what the world reflected to me as a child. Now, I don't reflect that back out. I chose not to do that. I chose to take my power back. I chose to do what I felt was right, even when the people around me were like, no, we need it like this. I was like, I don't. I would rather walk away and go do something different and start from whatever it is that I need to do in order to make that change happen. And every day we make those choices. So who are you giving your power to, and what are you doing with your power? Are you doing the right thing? Are you focused on your own spiritual growth, your own being a better person, bringing forth your natural talents, doing what you know is right, and really bringing that to the community? Or are you focused on something else, something superficial, something not necessary, something else? Okay, now this video is getting really long. Altogether, this energy is really, this is a reality check. Our reality is a creation of our consciousness, and this is a reality check asking you, what are you harvesting? What are you putting out there? What seeds have you sown that you are now bringing back, and what are you going to do with them? It is also calling us to turn into our own hearts and to embrace love as we make those changes. And just continue to remember that your cup can overflow with unconditional love, and you can bring that out into the world, and you don't have to let other people color your cup. Your cup can just flow forth with the bounty of love and amazingness, and you can continue to be that person because you know that that's what's right. I had someone at the tea party say, well, maybe I just need to wait for them to realize that they're wrong, and then they'll come to me, and then we can have a heart-to-heart. And I said, no, this is about you realizing that you cannot control them, and that you can only control you. So who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? If you're saying that this other person or this other thing is making me feel this way, you are giving your power away to that person, to that thing, to that whatever. So you have to take your power back. You have to decide how you feel and how you want to step forward and what changes you want to make. And then make those changes and do those things and feel that way, and stop saying, they made me, they make me feel this way, they are doing this to me. No. You are doing this to yourself because you are giving your authority, your power, your energy to other people to do with what they want. This is your power. This is your energy. What do you want? What is it that you're seeking? And then do that and make those changes and be that person. So, that was kind of heavy. I have been really called more and more to, I don't even know what words to say here. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life or what to do or how to act, but at the same time I kind of am, because it is time for us to all step up and do the right thing. It's time for us to make those changes. It's time for us to lead with love. It is time for us to step out of this cycle of destruction and giving our power to some authority because we've been told our whole lives that's the way it should be. I had a crazy realization that I grew up believing that you shouldn't eat food out of your yard, you shouldn't do canning, you shouldn't make your own products, you shouldn't do all of these things because that's where bacteria and that's where bad things happen and that's how people get sick and die. And then as I'm an adult and I read more news and I see more things and there's more recalls and listeria and E. coli and all of these outbreaks coming from food that we're supposed to trust, I'm suddenly realizing that I take better care of my garden. The kids can just go out here and eat things out of the garden because I don't spray it with pesticides. I don't put cow poop directly onto it. I do the things that I need to do in order to make sure that it is a safe place. So of course the food that comes out of it is going to be safer. I have to take that authority back. I have to take that power back and stop believing that this corporation, that Johnson & Johnson has my best interests at heart, and that they're making me a lotion that's actually good for me. Because that's really, that's not what's happening. Maybe some point along the way, some person way back in the day was like, I want to do the right thing and I want to provide this product for the community. And then that got taken and just ran with and into this place of profit and not caring about the people. So we have to make those changes. It's time to step away from giving our money to people in power. It's time to step away from giving our power, our energy, our power to this, whatever this is, and start taking that back. Start really focusing on you and doing the right thing and being the right person and not putting your values on another person, but just showing through example that you can do the right thing. So, with all that said, I send many blessings to you. I hope that you have a fantastic day. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a fantastic Labor Day weekend, because that's what it is. Thank you.